Wiener World presentation.
A little over 30 years ago, Van McCoy and I met, and I became his artist. He wrote all of my material, and I traveled and sang with him as a group, as well as an individual artist. And after a while, we decided that my career should go into a different direction. So we went into the studio, and this is what we recorded. I've been running scared, and it's you I've been running from, 'cause I'm so afraid to trust in my heart with anyone. And we changed my name to Sandy Sheldon. Would you believe that for 30 years they've been looking for me in England? And that's the strange world of Northern Soul.
In 1966 in Detroit, I recorded a song called Happiness is Here. It was a great song, but it really didn't do too much. Now, 30 years later, I discovered that I was popular and successful on the Northern Soul scene, and that's wonderful in itself. But then something really strange happened out of the blue. I made some demos in 1968. With some guys in Connecticut while I was on tour with King Curtis. I thought I was doing a demo, and I never knew it had been released until I got a phone call from England, and I heard on the phone, "I'm just a pebble on the beach, and I sit and wonder why." And I found out that they had the nerve to change my name to Toby Legend. Now that's the strange world of Northern Soul.
Over 30 years ago, I worked for Berry Gordy as a writer and as a producer at Motown Records. I had just completed my own single when standing backstage at the Fox Theater, he casually mentioned to me, "Do you really want to be an artist, or would you prefer to be a writer and a producer?" I thought about it for a moment, and then I replied, "I'd rather be a writer and a producer." And so he proceeded to destroy all of the records, and then I found out there are two that remained. And would you believe that somebody from Scotland paid £15,000 to own it? Here I am on bended knees, I'm laying my heart down at your feet. Now, do I love you? And that's the strange world of Northern Soul.
I can eat and I can't sleep. I was there at the dawn of the Northern Soul scene. It was very much a particular way of life. The music, the clothes, the scooters, all the venues. And drugs, of course, played a part in that as well. The clothes were specifically based around some Ben Sherman shirts, Levi jeans, Lee Riders, brogues, suits, which were very much a part of it all, particularly when we went dancing in the evenings. We were soul rebels, and Saturday nights we'd travel to the Manchester Wheel by train from Blackpool. Going to the Wheel every Saturday was a pilgrimage. That was the place we needed to be, that's where the action was, that's where the music started. One of the important things to remember about this underground cult was that here were we, just white boys, very heavily involved in black music. We were pretenders to some extent, but we thought nothing of it. This was the music that we loved. We wanted to pretend that we were black. We danced as though we were black. We even sung as though we were black.
The music was special, the clothes were special, the people were ideal. And everyone's idea on a Saturday night was together from different parts of England to, if you want to look at it, look, it was their shrine. It was an absolute magical evening for all the sounds. Everyone was happy, specialised drugs, specialised music, special people. It wasn't a cult, it was a secret sort of society, if you want to call it. It was the beginning of designer mods, the modern generation that wanted to be involved with it. The music was extra special, and still is to those that was actually there at the time. The fashion was the start of what you call, the leading up to now what we call designer clothes. Ben Sherman's and Moa suits, you identified yourself. Every other Tom, Dick and Harry were rockers in leather, and you knew they weren't into it. They'd be into anything else but Northern Soul.
Once upon a time in Detroit, there was a key moment in popular music history. The session musicians of Motown Records, and that's Benny Benjamin, James Jamerson, Earl Van Dyke, great players, produced rhythms which were absolutely ideal for dancing. And really, you could say that was the birth of disco music. They certainly had an on-the-floor sound, which became really the sound of young America, and eventually international popular music of huge popularity. But time moved on. By the 70s, that particular sound was all but forgotten. New styles of black music had come along. But it wasn't completely forgotten. Of all places, it was very popular in the north of England. DJs came out of the clubs and began to play these records. And as they began to explore the music of black America, they went deeper and deeper into it. The sounds they found, the records they found, were by not very well-known artists. In fact, they were by the Temptations and the Supremes who weren't. In other words, unknowns who just wanted to be stars, who made a record or two, couldn't give up their day jobs, and drifted back into complete obscurity. Back in the early 70s, I found out about this thing called Northern Soul, and I decided to write a book about it. Unfortunately, the book never got written, but I'm fascinated now that all these years on, Northern Soul is coming back into focus because it never died. And it's a fascinating story. Thinking about Northern Soul now, I'd say it has produced some of the most amazing stories behind the music of any type of music. And this is the strange world of Northern Soul.
7 days is too long to wait till Saturday comes back around. 7 days is too long to wait till Saturday, and my heart starts to pound again.
There's one thing that I always used to say, and that was, my life is my soul and my soul is my life. And it was just as if like you lived for the weekends. You know, there was nothing else that was important at that time. I remember writing a letter to my dad when I was about 20 saying, if this was it, if I was going to die soon, then I'd had a good life, you know. And he keeps this letter to this day, you know, but it was just how everybody felt. It just meant so much. You'd be there, you know, on the train, on a bus, you know, and somebody opposite or, you know, was like sat there reading Blues and Soul or had a sticker on the bag. And suddenly, you know, you'd known this person forever. You'd be getting into some conversation, you know, about the music, about how everyone was feeling, where they were from, who they knew. And suddenly you knew just so much about them, and it just felt, it was just great.
I didn't get excited about Northern Soul to be able to walk into a record shop in the high street in any British town and buy that record. I got excited by the fact that it was forbidden, it was underground, it was secret, it wasn't readily available. You had to travel huge distances, you had to stay up all night, you had to stand in petrified fear watching these older guys trading, and you were a young person in the you know, it was a rites of passage thing. You wanted to be part of that kind of atmosphere.
What I like about Northern Soul is you've got this combination of people in the north of England, like England, who
I honestly think that the rarity and the price of the records and the demand that is created on the Northern Soul scene by various DJs from whatever era. I actually think that overshadows the record. I sometimes think that people don't actually analyse it for a piece of music rather than it's going to cost them £1,000 to buy it. The artists, for whatever reason at the time of making these records, they had dreams, aspirations, they wanted to become famous, they were trying to emulate the stars, the big stars at Motown, Stax, Atlantic, these types of people. Because they were Motown-esque records, if you like, they had a similar sound. They didn't have hit records with them. It doesn't make them bad records, and this is probably why the Northern Soul scene enjoys them so much, because they were failures, basically. They were commercial disasters at the time, and we get off on records which weren't hits.
Once you're into it and once you've committed yourself to it, the emotional investment that you make is so huge, it's nothing you can ever get away from. It's always there. It's about a way of life. It's about having respect for the culture of Black America.
In the early 70s, which was a slightly grey time, Northern Soul really did give this almost paradise that people could go away and escape to. Other people that had money could escape on holiday, Spain, somewhere like that. I couldn't afford to do that, but I could escape to Wigan. But most ordinary people didn't know, and so you were part of this almost secret society. And there was, you could actually, a working class person could be an elitist, which was something they couldn't achieve, or they could hardly achieve in any other way. But there was something of, there is something interesting, important about me.
The thing about Northern Soul is that most people, when they get into music, are fairly young. They usually get into it in their teens and what have you. And then they go through a period when they're very much into soul music or R&B or rock and roll, whatever it is, reggae. And then they leave it for various reasons. They get married, other priorities come into their life. But with Northern Soul fans, it seems as though once bitten, it was there throughout their lives. And even when they got married, they had children, but they came back. They came back to their roots, basically. And that Northern Soul streak continues to run through them, and it will be with them till the day that they die.
Northern Soul for me means a collection of people who are united with the love of the music, the train spotters who would run 500 miles to collect a record with a big red A on it, or the people who just want to look fabulous and dance all night. It's a passion.
I just used to buy Kent albums and stuff, and then I think it was when I went to an all-nighter at the Ritz in Manchester, and there were all these guys about with their boxes of 7 inches, like buying and selling. And I was like, oh, go and have a look, see what they've got and stuff. And then the guy DJing, I don't know who it was, don't know whether it was one of the casino DJs or something, but he was playing, and I'd never seen a club DJ like doing what they did before, where they talk in between the records and things, because I suppose, I don't know, having kind of grown up going out to techno clubs and stuff, and it was all seamlessly mixed, and then you just say that the guy's got some stash there, and he'll just go, I've been looking for this record for 30 years, I got it this week. And then it kicks off, and it'll be some really good tune, and you just sort of, at the time you just sort of think, oh, it's probably worth looking for.
The one thing Northern Soul was to me was always angst in the lyric and the melody, always. And I never saw a song that became a classic on the Northern Soul that didn't have angst. They had to. There was some Northern records I didn't get, and I think that's true of every musical genre. There are certain areas, no matter you're into, you didn't get. But the ones I got that I understood and that were my biggest records had the best lyric, the most amazing soulful voice where the guy was tearing his heart out singing it, and had a melody that always you could die for. And if you look at J.J. Barnes, you look at all those records, Major Lamps, they've all got amazing vocals. And I always remember Bobby Paris personally, absolutely unreal.